Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Digimon Beat Break, Part 2, Episodes 16 through 20. So, these episodes are now finally English dub on that of Hulu. Now, of course, they've been up on Crunchyroll. And so, as I found out like a few days ago, the English dub is up. I started scrolling down. I'm all like, wait, 30, like what? Two, three, four episodes? Like, wait, what the heck is going on? I thought this show had a complete 32 episodes. No, they have about 49 episodes, 49 or 48 for Beat Break. That's a pretty good solid number right there. I hate when Digimon shows go like over 50 because then it just drags on and it drags on. And when you're benching it, you just kind of like hurry up already, you know? So I think 40 something is about good. It's close to 50, but that's a pretty good like number because I'm all like, it's getting better and better with the newer episodes. I'm just kind of like, man, what do they have cooking in those later episodes? I try my best not to scroll down, but as I was scrolling down, I started seeing more episodes. But I was trying not to look at the thumbnail and everything. And also when I was like getting pictures for like my video and everything, I'm all like, I saw that coming. I had a feeling something's gonna happen when they're gonna team up. Like I knew that with the other cleaners and everything. Because for the most part, this Digimon team is kind of small. But the first season had a big team of like what, 8? And then like after that, they just started getting smaller and smaller. But then they would increase by adding new people on and everything. So I had a feeling they might start adding some more in, especially when I watched these episodes and what they were about. Now, a tiny bit of a correction from my part 1 video. When I was talking about the 5 stars, I added pictures of Tactic in there. And I forgot to edit them out and stuff like that. But Tactic is a completely different cleaner group from that of the 5 stars and Golden Dawn. And what is very interesting about these newer episodes is that they're solo, personal, like driven type episodes. More personal based and everything. Focus. Personal. I can't think. They're more like focused on the personal, like issues and aspects and like character developments of Tactic and everything. Because for the most part, we've already gotten like a little bit of a snippet into Golden Dawn's like backstory and everything. And so they decided to like explore that of Tactic. I'm all like, this is kind of interesting. They wouldn't be exploring this like, angsty, edgy group unless they have a bigger story later on down the line. And they do. It's similar to that of Ken. Why would they go through all this backstory of Ken, the Digimon Emperor, if he wasn't going to play a more important role later on down the line? And that is what they're doing with Tactic. And the thing that was really smart is that they just didn't give Tactic their own solo episodes without Golden Dawn. No. And have like Golden Dawn just, try to defeat them. No, they paired them off with a member of Golden Dawn. Some of the pairing is a little interesting. Like I would assume they would have had the 2 girls pair together, but they didn't. And so this is like a nice little pace and everything. Nice little change of pace. Like I like that, you know what I'm saying? And some of these members of Tactic, they, of course, because these are more focus-driven personal stories and everything, they really try to hit you with that emotional tug strings and everything, that weight of what this like fictional character has felt. And what's interesting that I've always appreciated and respected about Digimon is that the personal struggles that the human counterparts go through is something very similar that people in the actual real world, our world and everything, go through in real life. Like there are times where like you'll watch this show and it's like a human character and we learn something about their backstory. And it's kind of like, wow, I've gone through that before. Or I've known somebody who went through that. So I do love that realistic aspect of Digimon and everything. That sets it apart from like other cartoon shows that I've watched in the past. However, something really needs to be said about how this one human character has been treated so far. Because I feel like they're pulling a Sora on her. And that's Reina. I just feel like they're pulling a post '01 or a post '02 Sora on her. Where what I mean is like post '02 and everything, like a little bit, not, yeah, you know what? Post '01, I'll say that because '02, even when Sora was there, did she really do much? You know what I'm saying? It's like ever since like the movies started coming out, like the original Digimon movie or like the Try movies or Last Kizuna and everything, Sora has been lacking in character growth and development and stuff. To the point where sometimes she's barely there and she's kind of like an afterthought. And they're treating Reina like that, I'm starting to notice. Because like Makoto had a really good solo episode where we got to learn some about like his backstory. Tamaro, those whole first two episodes and a couple after that, was all about him and everything, and his backstory and what drives him and everything. Um, as for the other dude, Kale, he kind of gets sidelined a little bit. I'll get into that a little bit later. And so, we get these like really cool solo episodes and character driven episodes with like the other two guys. But then when it comes to Reina, I was really happy to see that episode 16 deals with her. So I'm like, great, a solo episode. Let's get into some of her backstory. But it really wasn't even about her. It was about that tactic guy. And his backstory got the main focus and everything, while hers was kind of just crammed in there with just a tiny bit of a snippet. And I'm just kind of like, why? Like, now we know a little bit about her parents and why she's so obsessed with family and everything. As to why she's obsessed with money, doesn't really make no sense, but it's just like they completely glossed over her to where when she is in the episode, it's just kind of like, she saves that one dude and she cooks some food and she's a horrible cook. And once again, she's going head first into battle. And I'm all like, why are they doing this crap for? She's the only female on like the team and everything, And it's just kind of like, it reminds me of just post like, '01 Sora. And even like when it comes to Yo Lee, we didn't need much backstory on her. Her personality was big enough as it was to know that she's obsessed with guys and, and she doesn't like killing Digimon and everything. And so like, and I'm thinking, I can't remember the girl's name from Frontier, but like, even she kind of got. Sorry, my camera died. But yeah, even she got sidelined a bit to where even one of her spirits got stolen and we couldn't see her digivolve in that form. And now that I stop and I think about it, I'm thinking about other past seasons. this happens to a lot of the female characters and stuff, except for Rhea. I think that's her name from Tamers. I can't think of her name right now, but she had a lot to do, and she had a big personality and a big backstory and everything. But that was a completely different Digimon type show. That was like more dark and had a different creator and stuff. But it's just kind of, I've noticed they do this to the females every once in like a while and everything. That aren't like, I guess like, I don't know why the girl from Tamers got a lot of like character development, but other past Digimon shows you don't really see that. Now, yes, you'll get something like Mimi's solo episode, Kari's solo episode, just her being sick. But Sora had her solo episodes and her mellow drama and everything. But like past 01, sometimes you don't really see the females doing all that much. I don't know if it's like a cultural thing or like this is a show for boys, so let the boys be front and center. But it's disappointing because I'm trying to figure out who exactly is my favorite in this show. It's either Makoto or it's that or Reina and everything, because like Kaio is barely in the show, and I've noticed they barely have this dude in the show. Like this dude is just so mysterious, so like stilted, and it's just so mysterious, and it's just kind of like you get a little bit of snippet of who he is and his past too. So they kind of pulling a Reina or a Sora on him as well, and because he kind of has these feminine, soft features, I kind of figure like, oh well, even though he's a guy, he has these soft features, so let's treat him like the females and everything. Let's not do much with him and everything, and and it sucks because I want to know more about these characters and stuff, because they're the new team and they're a cool team. Like I really enjoy this team. 01 will always be my all-time favorite team and everything. Frontier is probably like my second favorite team, and then so on and so on and so on. And these guys are just as cool. Now, one thing I do appreciate, like I said before, when they do these solo episodes, is that they have like a partner from Glowing Dawn. And, I love how it's just these two characters and they're interacting. It's not the whole group. And this is something that, like, I've been missing in Digimon a lot. I don't know when, but probably sometime this month, because I gotta catch up on my shows and videos. Like I've watched them, I just haven't done no audio for them yet. Like I've watched like Daredevil Born Again season 2, the last season of The Boys, Star Trek Strange New World season 3, and something. And I also gotta do a bunch of my like Halloween movies I need to record in advance and upload in advance, but I just haven't done none of the audio for none of the pictures. I've been like backed up last month watching stuff on Paramount Plus and everything, that I haven't been doing my diligence and stuff like that. And I need to hurry up because I shoot from the hip. I don't do a script. And so the problem with watching all these shows and all these movies and all these hours, I got all this stuff jumbled in my head, and some things start to slip out. And so I need to hurry up before I start forgetting some stuff. Because I watched this British cop show I wanted to talk about, and I've pretty much forgotten all about that. I even forgot that I watched it. I'm going to have to rewatch it again in case I want to talk about it. So later on this month, I'm going to start pumping out my videos week by week. But like there's a Digimon analysis type video I want to do, because there's a key ingredient that I haven't really seen since 01. It was kind of there in 02 every once in a while, but I haven't really seen it since 01. But no, actually it wasn't in '02. But there's like a new format going on past '01 and everything. And I'm not gonna say what that key ingredient is. I'll say that for when I upload that video because there is something missing from all these post '01 Digimon shows that none of these other shows have done since '01. And in my opinion, it is really like a crucial aspect. Tamers actually did it. Yes, true. Tamers actually did it, and they did it for a while, and I appreciated that. But like, Frontier kinda was starting to do that, but then they stopped really quick. But '01 is like the main one that actually did it, and they did it twice. And this is something that's just been lagging with Digimon. And in my opinion, it's one of the things that helped make '01 so great and everything, and helped give so much character development and stuff. And I really miss this aspect of it, and I wish they would go back to doing that. But it would be impossible to do that here because there's no digital world and everything. It's just the mirror, kind of like a battle nexus type place. Speaking of which, I am glad they are enhancing the mirror world. Like that whole underground cage fighting thing. Yes, like yes. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been wanting to see something like that a lot in Digimon. And it was a little bit in '01, but then you don't really see it no more. And it's just kind of one of these things. Oh, no, they did a lot in '02. In the beginning, when Ken was the Digimon Emperor. They haven't really done that since. And I like this whole, Subatomas on the black market. And oh, we're gonna sell Digimon and human traffic. Like this is a dark show, a very grown-up show. And after I had made my first video, I went back to Wikipedia and I started reading some stuff. And yes, the creator literally said they purposely made this show more mature, something that the other shows weren't, because the other shows were kid-based, and the target audience were that of kids and everything. So this is for like a much more mature audience, who grew up with like Digimon back in the day. And it's even to the point where I feel like Try and Kizuna, while those were mature, just something's off with those movies, man. Like they disappointed me so much. I only own one of the Try movies. I might own another. I have to rewatch that. But those Try movies and the Kizuna thing, they really piss me off. I still haven't seen Beginnings yet. But I've heard one thing about it with the whole Digivice thing. And I'm just kind of like, all these theories are trying to tie it back to the epilogue. And I'm just kind of like, no, that don't make no sense. Because it just don't make no sense, all right? So, these next 5 episodes in Team Tactics. So, I'm going to do character bios and talk about what happened to these members of Tactic and what happened in those episodes, because I'm just really shocked by like some of their backstories and everything. Episode 16 is a Reina and a Granite episode. Now, Granite, he is the youngest member of Tactic. And so, like, he's a very peculiar person. He talks extremely slow and everything. And he has kind of like this whispery, gravelly type voice. He has little to no expression, and he's just so calm and everything. in a very surreal kind of focused kind of way. Well, he just has this really like zen like thing to him, you know. And so they're in the mirror world and they're trying to capture this Digimon and the cleaner, who goes around stealing a bunch of stuff. The cleaner ends up getting captured, but this Digimon is so strong it busts a hole back into reality. And in order to just open up a rift into like the mirror world, you have to have a very powerful Digimon. Well, both of them fall into like the rift and they're back in the real world, but somewhere they're out in the Arctic. There's snow and ice like everywhere. Now, what I don't understand is how is Reina able to, like, not freeze to death wearing what she's wearing? She's wearing a midriff. Yeah, she has that giant coat, but she's wearing like short shorts and everything. She should have froze to death, but she didn't. And so they get separated and everything. And then eventually Granite falls into kind of like a hole. I think that Digimon like attacked him or something like that. Well, when it comes to that of his backstory, we find out that Granite used to be friends with a girl named Stella. Stella became friends with him instantly and was sweet and nice and would give him gum. And so he really likes chewing gum because of her. And they would do everything together. They would just lay out in the grass, chewing gum, talking, just like enjoying life. Then tragically, something happened to her. And he just was like never the same after that. I think he was in love with her. Well, during the episode, we see that sometimes he would imprint Stella's face onto that of Reina, because Reina eventually finds him freezing to death in the snow, and they find like a shack type cabin. And so she's trying to keep him warm and everything. And not only that, but she's trying to make food, but she's not really good at that. And so watching this episode, I realized something. Granite is not evil. Like, he's just part of a team that's pretty ruthless and everything. And so it really opened my eyes and everything. But then he discovered the hiding spot of that Digimon. The Digimon is still going around just stealing stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, it was really sad to see him tragically lose that of his friend from, like, back in the day. Because he really, truly cared about Stella and everything. Then there is Reina's story, which they kind of just crammed in there and is very, very brief. But we get a slight bit of her backstory. Something happened to her parents long ago when she was a little girl. What that something is, I have no idea. They just won't explain it. So she had to go live with her aunt and uncle. And they didn't want her because of something her parents did. And it was such an embarrassment. Once again, what did the parents do? Don't know. And so eventually she just ended up on her own and everything. Because while I don't know if she gave birth to a Digimon while she was with the aunt and uncle or after she left them and stuff. But she's been on her own, and then that's when she met like Kaio, and then they became like cleaners. And so like this is why family is so important to her. She has no family. Her parents have been like taken away. Her aunt and uncle want nothing to do with her. She yearns for that foundation, that love, you know what I'm saying, that you can only get with a family. This is why some people who are bad seeds and don't get along with their parents, they find a gang, and that gang becomes their new family, and they become like brainwashed into thinking this gang has like their best intentions, because they're looking for that belonging. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that, which is interesting because the episode is called "Where I Belong." And so, like, I forget the reason why she's so obsessed with money. I think it's just to provide for like her family and stuff. But we see in these next couple episodes, she's just obsessed with like money, 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 you know? Okay, so episode 17. This has to do with Makoto, and I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Hoten Nuko? I'm really not sure how to pronounce that. Um, Hotar Ruko. Maybe that's it. So she is the female member of Tactic. And her story is very fascinating and everything. It's one of a hidden secret. So she's in college and everything. We find out. So, there's a Digimon that's been like stealing food and everything. And so they're out and about and they're trying to capture this one Digimon. And her Digimon blasts something and these kids almost got hurt. So Makoto and his Digimon saved them. It turns out that these two little kids, this brother and sister, I can't say her name. Hotar Yuko, that's it. So it turns out to be Hotar Yuko's brother and sister. And so she is very thankful that Makoto had like the wherewithal to save her family because she was being like, careless and stuff. So she invites him over for dinner. And so of course, he invites his team. Reina is thrilled because she loves food and everything. And so Hotar Yuko mother made like tons of food for them. But then we find out her secret. Her mother and brother and sister believe that she is still in college and everything, and that she has a very, very special job. And for whatever her job is, they assume that Makoto and the Glowing Dawn have that the same prestigious type job. So right from the start, Makoto's just kind of like, whoa, why the deception and everything, you know what I'm saying? And it turns out that while she was in college, she gave birth to her Digimon. And so that's a big no-no. And she was kicked out. So being a cleaner is very important for her because she has to help provide money for her family and stuff. And, having a job is very, very important to her. This is why she takes this very seriously and stuff. And anybody can sympathize with that. Being in school, being in college, having to drop out, take care of your family and stuff like that. So many people go through stuff like that. But she was kicked out and everything. And it's really embarrassing for her to have to be kicked out, all because she gave birth to her Digimon, who she loves to death. And so Makoto, he starts telling her about what happened to him and how he was born in Shangri-La and everything. And next thing you know, it turns out that Burgermon is the Digimon stealing food so that he can give to that Burpmon. And I remember Burgermon from Frontier. Love myself some Burgermon. And so this one's not really so much bad. It's just he's stealing food and giving it to somebody else, and you get in the way, he'll blast you. Or he'll turn you into like a burger or something like that. And so Makoto at one point went back to Hatari Yuko's like home because something had happened. And he went to go like help the mom pick up glass and stuff like that. But Haruto, she completely just turns on Makoto. She resents him because he was born of wealth and everything. He's never had he has to struggle now because he has to like fish for his own food and stuff like that. But he had it made, you know what I'm saying? And he was forced to give all that up because he gave birth to a Digimon. He could have just got rid of his Digimon, but he didn't because he loves that thing. And so she just kind of is all like, oh, you've had the easy life and I've had the struggle and my dream has been taken away and blah, 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 blah. So she just turns ice cold towards him and stuff and gets very aggressive. But then she, stops Burgermon and Bertmon and everything. And she decides, you know what? I'm not gonna take um I'm not gonna take them to where it is they have to take them to. Instead, I think she gives Makoto the Sabatama and everything and talking about, like whatever, our debt's been paid or consider this like, something for being so nice and helpful or something like that. And so it's interesting. She's ice cold towards him because of that. But then she becomes nice enough to realize that, it's not his fault and everything. And even though he was born of wealth, he's not stuck up. He's actually pretty nice. Episode 18. Haru Umi, I think that's how you say his name, and Commandermon. They are not members of Tactic. They are kind of like they have to do jobs for other people. I believe they might be former Tactic, or they're former star, 5 star, something like that. But basically, what it is that like they are wanted. Both of them are. Both of them have to come in, and both of them have to be terminated. Now, Haru Umi, he collapses outside the headquarters of like Glowing Dawn. So they fix him some food and everything. But Tactic, they want this man bad. Now, Commandermon is like a military type Digimon, a cyborg, and we see that he has nightmares when he sleeps, kind of like PTSD and stuff. He's been through a lot. And both him and his owner, Cleaner, have been through a lot because of all the jobs they've had to do to survive for money and everything. This is probably the second best episode, next to that of episode 10. Because I was not expecting this twist to happen. So basically, in this episode, like Tactic wants him and this and that. We see that Haruumi basically acts like he doesn't want Commandermon. And when Commandermon gets like attacked and everything, he's just gone. Like he looks like he's been vaporized and everything. And it turns out that Haruumi's happy about this. He's all like, no more like, Digimon messing up my life, and I no longer have to do these jobs and this and that, and I'm no longer going to be hunted down by Tactic, and people have like a bounty on me and everything. So he thinks he's in the clear, and he thinks Tactic will leave him alone. But no, they still want to bring him in. He does not want to go in because he knows of the horrors of what they're secretly doing and everything, and who they really work for. And so like, next thing you know, this turned out to be a ruse. So they took what's his name? Haruumi. But when they did Tamaro and this other dude attacked it, they really got into it to where Tamaro, his anger started to come out big time in his Digimon. And of course that impulse is like fueling his Digimon. And I'm thinking, holy crap, is his Digimon actually gonna kill, or is his Digimon gonna dark Digivolve or something? But anyway, back to Commandermon. It turns out this was a ruse. Commandermon just cloaked himself by the orders of that of Haruumi. See, Glowing Dawn and Haruumi came up with a plan. They didn't tell Tamaro because they say he sucks at lying. And so, like, they had to make it believable. So when Commandermon got blasted, he just cloaked himself. And then Haruumi pretended to hate his Digimon and wanted nothing to do with him to make it more convincing. because he did not want his Digimon to be taken back to like this organization, because he knows what they do to people in Digimon there, and he wanted Commandamon just to be free and everything. um and I'm not sure what happened to Commander Mon. I don't know if he actually just disappeared because he had no more impulse to cipher off, or I can't really remember what. But it was just like a heartbreaking, sad episode with an amazing twist. Like, you really believe Harumi just really hated his Digimon, but never did. And of course, Commander Mon is just really sad now. So, episode 19, the one of the members of Five Star named Clay, he wants to track down Maki's position. Of course, she's the broker, bartender lady and everything, right? And so, Glowing Dawn, they do their like infiltration thing of Shangri-La, where they pretend to be waiters and everything. And so, while there, an old couple gives like a secret like code phrase, right? And they're kind of like, this sounds kind of interesting. Could this be the lead we're looking for? Basically, it's code for something they're doing on the black market. People are looking to buy, like, something on the black market, which we'll find out in the next episode. And so the kids, they go to where the old couple was trying to go, and this and that, and they're going into the mirror world. And it turns out that there is a black market human and Digimon trafficking going on and everything. And I'm just kind of like, what? Human trafficking and like Digimon trafficking and everything? So basically, it's like this. This woman named Izami, her mask looks very much like Court of Owls from Batman. But anyway, she was in that one episode, episode 10, when she tried to sell a Subatama to that one girl's father. And so she is like, working in the black market, and she's selling Digimon and people. One of the people we see here is Harumi and everything. And then we see this other guy from like a previous episode, him and his Digimon that Tactic captures. This is why, Tactic, when they capture Digimon and like people and stuff, this is where they take them. And Tactic runs as like special security and stuff. And, this is just very shocking. So basically what it is that they sell people in their Digimon to the highest bidder, and the highest bidder has them do things that they have no business doing. And like corruption type stuff. So this is very, very, very shocking and everything. And we meet like a little girl there that Tamaro ends up feeling sympathetic for, and he wants to get her out. And she has the cutest Digimon named Tinkermon. And so, what's his name? What is it? Well, Tamaro, he's very much like Mikey, always doing the right thing and trying to help folks. The difference between him and Mikey is that Mikey just tends to want to help whatever and whoever, all because of what happened to that boy. And he just jumps in kind of like without thinking. Tamaro at least has some sort of attachment to the people he wants to save and rescue for the most part. Or he'll feel very sympathetic because of what he sees going on. When he starts to see some of these bad people being in the whole like auction black market thing, he kind of doesn't really care. But when he sees this innocent girl, then he cares, because they will take anybody. If you are a bad person with a bad Digimon, they'll take you. You could be an innocent person with a Digimon, they'll take you. Whoever Digimon does whatever and has a bounty on them, they will take you. And so the fighting in this episode got very, very intense between that of like Tamaro, his Digimon, and that of Raito. And Raito does not like Tamaro. Raito thinks he's all that. You know what I'm saying? And he thinks that, Tamaro just thinks too much of his emotions, and that's why his Digimon can't like be that great and everything. But, Tamaro does get the upper hand, which really tends to piss off Raito and everything, to where his anger and rage appears to have dark digivolve his Digimon into Ultimate. There's all this black smoke and everything going around his Digimon. He's very, very angry and stuff. Well, of course, the heroes end up saving the day and rescuing all the people and stuff like that. And Maki, she ended up capturing Izami and everything. But for Raito, this is a problem because his leader over at Tactic does not appreciate him failing. He already failed, like to bring in Commander Mon and stuff like that. And we actually see that of what is it? Raito get the snot rockets punched out of him by that one dude who works for Tactic. Basically, he's tied to a chair and just you hear him getting punched and then you see him getting punched. If Saban or Disney were making this season of Digimon, oh, you would not have seen that. You wouldn't even hear it and everything. They would just cut away from it. So, yes, this is very, very mature. But then comes episode 20. Tamaro and Geckomon, they encounter this like monkey ape type Digimon that stole that of his brother Oscar's like E-Pulse, Sapatama and everything. And Tamaro wants it back, but this monkey Digimon is like an ultimate and whoop their behinds. When he wakes up, he finds out he's in like a cage and everything. They're in the mirror world, but it's like cage fighting, gladiator style. And so we see Raito there and like a couple of others. I kind of like the idea of Digimon fighting in like cage matches and stuff like that to see who's like the stronger and this and that. Turns out that like I forget who it was. Oh, Izami, I think it was. I'm not really sure. She appears. I forget what they call it, but it's kind of like when your E-pulse is taken out and you're kind of like ice frozen, kind of. And so they're kind of wondering like how did she get like this, blah 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 blah. And so it turns out that like when you're in these cage matches and you lose, you basically get terminated and you get your E-pulse completely drained from your body and you get kind of like iced out and everything. Tamaro's kind of like, oh crap, you know what I'm saying? And Geckomon's like, yo, we can just run and get the heck on out of here. But Tamaro doesn't want to do that because you have to fight your opponent. And if your opponent loses, this happens to you. And he doesn't want to see Raito have this happen to him, and especially the other people. Raito, however, does not want to go. He wants to keep on fighting, keep on beating other Digimon, because he wants to prove to, like, his commanding officer, I do have what it takes. Yeah, I messed up. But, maybe if he keeps proving that he can keep winning, then they will take him back. He is so disillusioned and everything. And he's just a very cocky, angry person who feels like almost, like, I get the sense that he feels like he has to be the best of the best or people will not respect him. So once again, his Digimon goes to Ultimate, and it looks like he Dark Digivolve. And his Digimon ain't cool with this at all, but he's like, yo, I'm loyal, I don't want to do it, but whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. And he fights Gekomon, and it's at the point where you really think Gekomon is gonna probably die or something like that. Now, at some point, Raito kind of learns a life lesson very quickly, and I'm just not kind of sure like how and everything. It just kind of feels a little too forced and a little too quickly, in my opinion. So, yeah, these 5 episodes were very intense, very shocking, and very emotional. And this show is just getting better and better and better. And I'm really curious to know what the end game of this series is going to be. Because normally with Digimon, there's always an evil Digimon who wants to take over both worlds. I don't know if they're going to do that here. I doubt it because of how different this series is. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.